I'm Josh with Waupaca Community Media, and once again joined with Ron Sari from the Waupaca School District and Aaron Jensen from the City of Waupaca. And I think this week we're mostly talking COVID-related topics. And the first thing that's starting to hit top of people's minds, we've been hearing about vaccines getting distributed like at the Veterans Home or maybe to law enforcement. And people are wondering when and how can they get their vaccine. And Aaron, I know you got a little bit of information from the Waupaca County Public Health about what that status is.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. There seems to be a little bit of confusion. Every day we hear something else about vaccines, phase 1A, phase 1B, who's in what. Some groups are getting pulled in and out of that B category. And then if you're mentioned to be in B, what does that mean? How do you get an appointment? What's the timeline for an appointment? So there was a good press release put out by Waupaca County Public Health yesterday. And they're encouraging everybody to go and check their healthcare provider's website for information or the county public health's website for information. Right now, they're getting flooded with phone calls. They said this has probably been the busiest time period in any of the time periods over this last year stretch. So they're asking to please have people go to the website or those healthcare provider websites. Right now, the people that are ramping up to disperse the vaccines in our area are Theta Care, as you can imagine, Ascension, Hometown Pharmacy. Walgreens is actually looking to they're still partnering with long-term care partners during this time. So right now, not the wide distribution from Walgreens. And then obviously Waupaca County Public Health is doing clinics and things like that. Right now, we're still in phase 1A. I think it's important to note that as you look at getting it in that phase 1B, people like Theta Care, Ascension, they'll be sending you their clients or their customers things through their Theta Care accounts, or they'll be reaching out to them for those eligible people. As far as the timeline goes, phase 1B, and we've got some people in our organization, Josh, you're actually one of them. Now they've come out and they have said that the quote unquote essential workers in phase 1B include our utilities, so wastewater and water, and then internet. And we are one of two in the state to have that under our municipality. So obviously our employees, much like a lot of other people over 65 years of age are in that 1B category. They're going to be wondering, when can I do this? And right now they have a tentative date of March 1st. So we're a little ways out yet. We've got a whole nother month to go, and that depending on what supply looks like, that could be pushed back or it could be moved up. So keep an eye on those websites and keep an eye on your healthcare providers, and that should guide you in the right direction.
I'll note I was just on the county's public health webpage this morning, and they do have it very clear and laid out who's eligible and what you need to do. So anyone questioning that, check out that website. It explains what does 1A mean, what does 1B mean. So just as someone that was looking at that for other purposes today, it's really clearly laid out there.
Yeah, I agree. If you go to the website, you'll probably get all your questions answered. Another interesting fact, Josh, we talk about this in other conversations. Our demographics are interesting here. So phase 1B, over 65 years of age, out of our 52,000 people in the county, that's 10,000 people. So it's a pretty large chunk, and it'll take some time and some coordination to get all of them vaccinated.
So what we want to talk about now is the school. The data that we keep seeing day to day is trending in a positive direction. And that, Ron, that means you're moving forward with your plan for phase 2 of bringing students back in the building. And that means your 7th, 9th, and 12th graders who want to will be back on a regular basis. So tell us a little bit about what that is and how that decision got made.
Yeah, we promised everybody that on Wednesday we would make it, and today is Wednesday, and so it's interesting how the data is trending. There's in our community there's some blips or hiccups that happen every so many days or so, but overall it is trending in the right direction. And then when we look at our internal data, for instance, last week we had 2 days in a row with 0 positives in our cohort. Our cohort is an entire staff and student body of 2,445 people. So 2 days in a row, there was 0 positives in that cohort. That has never happened yet this year. That's the first time.
That's awesome.
Two days in a row, it's the first time. So 3 times this month, there were 0 in our cohort in a day. And when you look at the average is a small number as well. And I don't have that number off the top of my head, but last week's average for the number of classroom teachers out in a day was 1.4. So we were averaging 1.4 classroom teachers out per day last week.
If I recall, last fall, weren't you into the double digits on that on some days?
Yeah, we were. Yep. So we're excited about how it is continuing. We watch this closely. I mean, I want people to understand the reason we have 2 weeks in between each of the phases in this transition plan back is so we can look very closely at the data and continue to monitor it. Because if things change, we're going to make changes, and we have to be nimble and be able to make those changes just like that. So yeah, the data is looking good. We're going to be bringing more kids back starting on Monday, February 1st, our freshmen, seniors, and our 7th graders. I also want to share too, Josh, we received some feedback in regards to the 6-foot distance. You know, part of our 3 W's, which we will continue, wearing masks and washing hands frequently and keeping that distance, watching the distance. We know that when we bring more students back into the buildings, our ability to keep that 6-foot distance diminishes. And in some cases, it may be 2 or 3 feet only a distance in some of those classrooms, depending on the size of the class and the room space in there. So we want to be clear, but also know that we do work to try to keep that 6-foot distance as much as we can. And there was one other piece here I wanted to talk about, and I think let me just see. Oh, it has to do with how we're making these decisions. We still continue with all the meetings that I've explained before. We have 4 main teams that meet weekly, and we listen to the input of these individuals. Their voice matters, especially when it's the medical field. Our doctors who are advising us, our nurses, and Jed Wolt, our county health official. We take their input and utilize that as we make these decisions. No one person makes this decision or any of these types of decisions, and we take everybody's input and collaborate to do this together. And some people may not know, but I have children in our district, and my wife, besides me working in the district, my wife works in the district. So, you know, I've got these personal connections, and when we make these decisions as a collaborative team, we're also taking into consideration, you know, they're impacting my family personally. So we feel good about our transition plan. We feel that it's safe and it's practical, and just looking forward to as we continue, and hopefully the data trend continues in this direction and we can fully implement that transition.
I still think it's pretty amazing, a district our size, that you've been operating hybrid in person the whole school year without any major hiccups. When you keep hearing on the news these other districts in the region that are virtual or struggling to want to reopen, how well our school's done this year.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. We're pretty happy with it too, and it's a testament to our staff and our students. Not only the planning, but this implementation of all of the protocols that we have in place. There's a bunch of them. You know, we're doing the 3 W's the best that we can with high levels of fidelity. We're doing the cleaning. We're doing the sanitization and fogging on a regular basis. And, you know, we had that significant investment in the ionization systems installed in our HVAC units. So our air is literally being purified constantly. And so it's just a lot of positives, and it's all of them together. It's not one little mitigation piece all by itself. It's all of them together collectively that are help keeping us safe and do this safely.
Well, Ron, Arian, appreciate the time this week to get everyone up to date. I know this was one of those days where we just talked COVID, but it's right now it's good COVID news. We're getting the students back in school safely, and we're on the cusp of seeing more activity from the vaccine getting out here. So hopefully we're at that point where things continue trending in that good direction. So thanks for the updates.
Thanks, Josh.
Have a good week.